So this is something that occurred. Many people think that, oh, this just occurred during the 1600s. No, 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 no. This has been thumping for a long time between us and them. It's been thumping. This just didn't occur. It just didn't occur. In fact, slavery did not begin in the 1600s legally. The Prophet Obadiah tells us when it began in the 1700s, and by that you had a considerable amount of time for them to gain some kind of footage, because whoever controlled the Moors and took our empire away from us was recognized all around the world. Oh man, they must be some bad people. They did that to the Moors. It took a strong footing in terms of this. Don't get in our way, because you see what we did to the Moors. We'll get you too. In fact, I was talking to one of our sheiks, Jose Pinete Bey, a few days ago. We stayed on the phone a good little time talking. Very wonderful human being. And I was telling them, I says, Bartholomew de la Casa's book, A Short Account of the Indies, really sweeps the revolution that they had planned for us years ahead of time during the 700 years that we held in Spain in dominance. We were dominant over them. In the preface of the book of A Short Account of the Indies by Bartholomew de la Casa, they says, well, the Spaniards have sworn to get vengeance on the Moors. So when we go over to the New World, we're going to really rock their boat, so to speak. And that's what they did when they went to the island of Hispaniola, which is now Haiti. And they went to the Yucatan Peninsula and all that area over there. They said, or they did, torture our people. People look like you and I. And they did get heavily involved in cannibalism. In fact, they would cut the hands and the feet of our people because they like to grill those. They said it was tender meat between the bones. And they would kill the young girls and slice their buttocks out because they wanted that tender meat. They did atrocious things to our people. I mean, just atrocious things that you would even think a human being had that kind of thing in them. Yeah, and they fed the human beings to their dogs. They would dig a 6 feet hole in the ground because they had mesmerized those people when they saw the horses, because they never saw horses before, and they thought that they were gods, like heavy gods. And so they said, okay, you see these horses, you're gonna be a part of our army. So they made a big army off the native people, and they would dig these holes 6 feet deep, and they would take these stakes, as many as they can get in. They would stick them in the ground and cover them up with leaves, and they would run them strategically out of their village towards where that hole was, and they would impale themselves. Once they impaled themselves with those stakes, they would pick off all of the stuff that they wanted, the parts like the hands and the feet, and they would grill them. And if you get that book, Bartholomew drew pictures of all this. He drew it. You can see the free-handed pictures where he drew them doing all of this. A short account of the Indies, and the author is Bartholomew de la Casa. He was a Jesuit priest. As you know, the Jesuits, that arm of the Vatican, the Roman Catholic Church, were very active in going to the land in the early 1500s, in the middle 1500s. So remember now, Columbus came here in 1492? 1492? So 1492, 93, 94, 95, 96, 97, 98, 99. What, 9 years? Oh, they was on top of it. But they were intent on, this is, in other words, in a short word, this is intent on some get back from they held us all those years. 700 years we held Spain and Portugal. We held.
According to LaRoe Bennett's book entitled Before the Mayflower, I'll just use that for a point of reference. It wasn't that the Europeans enslaved us or indentured slavery soon became slavery as much as we enslaved them too. And again, this thing of bondage and selling people or whatnot has been going on since 1480. 1480, 1492, it took his head. In fact, we were so upset with them enslaving us that we went to the seas as so-called Barbary Pirates, as history tells us, and started getting them and selling them to China and other parts of the world and making them do bidding. With us, it was different. With us, it was different because we were known then and now as the Moors who ruled the entire world as part of the most elaborate organization called the Ottoman Empire that ever existed, with the Sultans in different parts of the world. The Sultan here, the Sultan there. We ran the entire world before that European had came over and flipped the House of Saud to stop sending money and taxes to Turkey. Enslavement is a mental thing. And what we didn't realize, those of us who were already here, and those of us who were brought here later, what we didn't realize is that this man wanted revenge. He wanted revenge for us having him under our domination for 700 years. That's a long time. 700 years. 700 years. And we can only blame ourselves for a lot of that because we became greedy. We owned all of the ships. We made the best ships in the world. No one made ships like the Moors. But then as history goes, when history trickles down, it's all the Spanish Armada, they made the best ships. Well, those were all of our ships. We were billionaire Moors shippers. When they thought the world was flat, we knew the world wasn't flat because we traveled around the world trading, making trades. We sailed with the Moorish astrolabe that navigated our ships night and day. And we know that we wasn't going to fall off for the end of the world. So having all that knowledge intact, that's why if you read Columbus' journal, it talks about those three ships he sailed over here on were owned by rich Moorish merchants. We became competitive with each other. Who's got the most money? Who's got the most this and the most that of a material thing, And not looking at why we became competitive with each other, our throne was taken from under our feet. And we started following their gods. We started following their thing, the things that they worshipped, which has always been the manifest. They worship the manifest, That's why they only have an earthly salvation, because they worship the things that you can get now. That's it. Not the kingdom of heaven that's within. And we begin to do the same thing, unfortunately, thinking that that's where it was at. The manifest, how much money you got, how much land you got, how much material things that you got. Not dreaming that there's something other than a material thing that's beyond the manifest, like we once had, that kind of thought as a redemption of the first religious creed for mankind on earth. We had to pay for that. Following after somebody else, disregarding our mothers and our fathers, disregarding that. It's almost like the television series called Roots. How it was, and they told you in a certain kind of way through Hollywood and theater how they planned to change our minds of who we were. When they asked Kunta Kinte what his name was, and they wanted him to be Toby. And he said, "No, my name's Kunta Kinte. I'm not Toby." And how they cut off half his feet, they tortured him in order for him to do that to them. And so this psychological aspect as well as the physical torture and pain they gave our people. It didn't happen like in a week. This is like overnight. It was 50 years, 100 years. It was quite a bit. And the first thing, and the thing you want to do is don't teach them how to read, so they don't know what you're doing. It was difficult for many of our people who later came here as Muslims. Tried to tell the ones that were here, well, listen, you look like me. You're not this. Oh, something wrong with him. What's wrong with him, master? Something wrong with him. Go and go tell on him. Did you say that? Yeah, I said that. So what the prophet did for us and is doing now as we speak is relieving us from mental slavery, because it became a mental thing after that. You're a scarecrow. You can't win. You can't get off that pole unless I say so. I got your mind now. That's what Senator Henry Berry said. Keep miseducating them and have them like fools. So slavery, mental slavery is going on now. It's a part of physical slavery now, but you got to get off that thing. Our people have to get off of that thing. It's an opportunity for our people now to get back what they lost. Never before in the history of this whole drama of slavery has there been an opportunity like the Prophet Noble Drawley has brought to our people through the Moorish Science Temple of America. The only organization that can relieve our people from that mental slavery that they have right now and take them away from that. Help them to change their mind, correct their mind to the right way of thinking.